Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Wolverine Gems of War event in which the Wereverine is added to the game. So let's get into that. As far as the troop, it comes in with a bunch of brown, purple arcane. Since it is a epic, you can get them for as cheap as they ever are for only 200 glory each, so great to stock up if you still need the trait stone. As far as the troop itself, it is very similar to quite a few other troops that we have, and that it has the capability of gaining all of its mana back. However, the big issue with this is that its damage is very low. Most of the other things that have this do it based on gold or some kind of other condition, but do it based on their full amount of magic. This does it based on half of its magic, so it does quite a bit less damage. It's half its magic plus plus 2 ends up becoming its amount of damage that it does. But if there are any lycanthropy gems on the board, it basically gets to gain all of its mana back. So that's pretty much all it gets to do. It has a capability of putting lycanthropy on the enemy, which isn't necessarily a good thing. And of course, it has that lycanthropy gem onto the board in order to get more of them. And has a little bit of fast just to kind of get going a little bit quicker, though for the most part, not really something you're going to bother using. The other one that had lycanthropy effect, if you're going to bother using something that has it, is going to be a better option. And this is something that is pretty much just going to be ignored due to his lack of damage. Even in the context of Arena, I'm not sure you'd really even use it because you wouldn't have his final trait, so being able to get the gem specifically on the board, particularly when it's not this season anymore, will be kind of hard to do. So overall, it seems like a pretty bad troop that you would only get for upgrading purposes. However, one nice thing about its introduction is it does allow Urskaya to now reach 20 star if you have literally everything, including Enraged Karandar. It does give it a permanent +1 HP if you can get it all the way to 20 star. So if nothing else, that's something that's not completely horrible. So if you're going to get it, it's just kind of for upgrading purposes. As far as other things that we got going on this week, we do have 10% to all Urskaya as well as 10% to all Urskas. So a good majority of troops within the kingdom have 20% mana start. And those are two completely different things, the Urska type and the Urskaya kingdom. And you also get some extra gold if you use this thing in Explorer, so that's kind of okay, a little bit okay for farming some gold if you want to, though generally gold farming teams are going to be a little bit better way to go. As far as the event key drop table, I believe this is the first time ever Karandara is in the event key drop table specifically. Do keep in mind, or sorry, did I say Enrage? Normal Karandara is in the drop table. Enraged Karandara is not. You can only get Enraged Karandara. Gosh, I cannot say that today. You can only get Enraged Karandara from the Soulforge. However, normal Karandara is indeed in the drop table. So the ones that aren't in the drop table are obviously, of course, all 4 of the Werewoods, and Enraged Karandara is not. However, what is normal Karandara. So if you open event keys, there is a chance you'll get either Karandara, the normal one, or the Doomclaw, which is pretty useless. But if you're going to open event keys, it's pretty much the only reason why you would, because pretty much everything else from this kingdom, pretty bad. 50% Urskaya mana start could be a little bit okay this week. This thing's like not horrifically awful, one of the more recent Urskaya troops. But yeah, if you're going to open, you're mostly just doing it for Karandara. Though do keep in mind, there's a 0% chance of getting Enraged Karandara that you'll pretty much just ignore forever because it's such a bad mythic. And the only way to get it is from a bunch of power orbs. But normal Karandara is indeed in drop table. Overall, I'd probably skip on event keys, nothing really worth going for, unless you just really wanted like a 50% mana start or something more to use for the event this week. Aside from that, really no reason to be opening event keys this week. So overall, great week to skip. As far as events that we got going on, we got quite a few. We got invasions this weekend. We got guild wars going on throughout the week, so don't forget to set your defend teams and your sentinels and all that. But of course, as far as the ward event, we do have extra spell damage, so just running a bunch of AoE damage. Generally going to be the way to go. Most of them for this kingdom, actually all of them, I believe, are legends or above. So you are going to need to get some of the higher rarity stuff if you want to do damage to everything simultaneously. As far as the order that you have to do, it's very simple. All you have to do is whenever you see a Wereverine, that new troop that came out, you take it. The Wereverine, and everything else has the exact same value. So just always take Wereverine, and anything else you just do. And you could do the lowest level as well, and it won't end up affecting your score. So overall, should be pretty straightforward. So just do Wereverine. If you don't see Wereverine, doesn't even matter what battle you do. So nice, very simple ward event for once as far as figuring out what to do. Anyways, as far as other things that we got going on throughout the week, Tuesday we got ourselves... Oh yes, this is the first week since the Tuesday faction is now based on the kingdom. So right now we have the Urskaya kingdom and we have the Urskaya faction. So here for all kingdoms weeks, the Tuesday faction should coincide for the most part with the kingdom that is actually happening on the given week. So this is a change I believe is effect as of this week for the very first time, and we'll be going forward. This is basically now that we're almost have all the factions within the game. I think we're missing like what 4 or 5 or something like that. They're going to start syncing them specifically to whatever the event week is, which kind of makes sense. Before they kind of went in their own order based on when they were released, but now they're going to start coming out based on the kingdom. So it'll be a little bit more thematic every single week. So that's a thing now. But yeah, we got Werewoods tomorrow. As far as for Wednesday, we got the Urskaya pet. It's either Urska or Urskaya. It's one or the other. They're both so similar, I have no clue. It'll help your Urska troops in one way or another. Anyways, Thursday, we got ourselves the Sentinel class. Sentinel's actually pretty good. It's the tankiest hero class still in the game. Biggest downside it has is it doesn't have a natural half mana start. While it can get a half mana start, the fact that it doesn't have it naturally is a little bit of a deterrent to actually using it, but it's still extremely tanky, and for that reason is used on occasion, especially if you don't want to die. But normally its lack of speed compared to other hero classes makes it not as enticing as an option, as it is slower in almost every situation. And aside from that, I already mentioned, but Friday, of course, we got ourselves to some standard evasions and getting a new weapon on that day. As far as the Soulforge, we do have one pretty noteworthy thing. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that Ironhawk is in the Soulforge since his release. Ironhawk, of course, being added, I believe, was the second mythic this year. And he's a pretty noteworthy addition to the game because he ended up bringing back the Dust Devil team that existed 5 years ago, where you could just auto-kill with Dust Devils. Well, you can now again. With 3 of him with a single Dust Devil, you can insta-wipe a enemy team. However, the more commonly used one is Greed plus Dust Devil, combined with double Ironhawk. For one, you only need 2 instead of 3, but it also ends up farming gold a little bit as you do so, which can end up adding up to quite a bit, given that the team pretty much instantly wins. It's also not that much slower if you click very, very quickly. But yeah, if you're going to be crafting anything, 2 Ironhawk seems to be the way to go. The only problem with that is a lot of people probably don't have so many diamonds saved that it is even possible to get 2 Ironhawks. But if you already have 1 Ironhawk, I highly would consider getting a second. It is the most effective way to farm Vault events. And as you guys know, Vault events are an extremely good time to be farming for resources. I believe the next one is late June, if I'm not mistaken, like really late June will be the next Vault event or so. So a good idea to end up getting an Ironhawk for that, because even if that's the only reason you get him, which is generally pretty much the only reason you're using him, is for that. He can also EXP farm, but generally if you're getting double Ironhawk, you're using it primarily to do the gnome events whenever they come around, as you can almost double your speed compared to not using it, compared to like a quick kill Rowan or something similar. It's almost twice as quick, so that's working out pretty nice. It can do about 6 wins per minute, whereas Rowan is closer to about 4 or so, though maybe sometimes 3.5, depends how it goes. But it can pretty consistently do about 6 wins per minute, which is pretty nice. And aside from that, you can pretty much ignore everything else that's over here in the Soulforge. It would mostly be an Ironhawk or nothing. And as far as weapons, probably a week to overall skip, unless you just really want something for upgrading purposes. If you were to craft something, Razor, Claw, or Axe of the North are probably the way to go. They're both the 2 boost ratio ones. The Axe is based off of Urskaya's, whereas this is based on Urskaya, so this technically has a bit of a wider range. So if you're going to go for one, the Urskaya one of the Razor Claw is probably a little bit better. Overall, not really needed either of them, though. And it's probably a week to just completely skip on weapons, as nothing is particularly too enticing unless you want to get it for like the event or something similar. Anyways, let's go over a bunch of teams for out the week. First off, we have the World Event team, which you probably saw on the other screen. You basically just run a bunch of stuff that hits all enemies. That's pretty much the way to go. You can try incorporating Enraged Carandare if you truly want to. If you happen to own a Enraged Carandare. I wouldn't bother with normal Carandare, though. But you can do it with just Legends. This entire team is literally just only Legends. You can end up using this. This came in relatively recently. I can't remember when, but it was somewhat recent. And just a nice solid AoE option. King McCall is behind it just for some additional damage, and you just kind of keep poking. They also gain Enrage, so it gets boost ratio for his ability as well, so he does a little bit more. And they also do more based on having Enrage, so it's only 1-time boost ratio, since you can only have 1 Enrage on yourself. And this thing's mostly just used for the 50% mana start, of course, but it can also clean up a little bit with damage if you're coming down to the end of a battle, especially since you're going to have extra magic damage, so the split damage is quite a bit higher, since you're getting multiple times more damage on it compared to normal. Aside from that, if you're looking for something really cheap, you can just end up using the Baba Yaga that you get for free from completing out the kingdom and hopefully have a second one. This is probably going to be your best way to go, and you just kind of keep poking. This is about the closest you can do. Nothing epic or below ends up hitting all enemies, so this is about the main way that you can go. You can just go with a nice disable with silence. He has resummon if you truly needed it. You have a frontline tank that will help you not die. He also does some scroll damage, though that's not going to be as relevant given that you're mostly doing spell damage. And you also have resummon off your crown, which can also create red to make sure your tank doesn't die. So overall, should end up working out pretty well. And you kind of just keep doing that over and over again until you Baba Yaga spam them to death. And that's pretty much the whole premise there. Anyways, as far as the Ironhawk team, I did mention this. It's Greed, Dust Devil, Double Ironhawk. It is quickest for doing two things. It is the quickest EXP farming team in the entire game by quite a large margin, and it is the quickest vault farming team in the entire game as far as killing gnomes, and can win at around a rate of a little above 6 times per minute. And it also gives a decent amount of gold, not as much as actual gold farming teams, but still pretty substantial given that you're normally running it on Explore 1 difficulty. So obviously Explore 1 doesn't naturally give that much gold, but of course the Greed reaching max gold every single time, assuming your Greed has at least 100 HP, which is possible in the current state of the game, and depending on bonuses can be made a little bit easier, especially since you don't need any particular bonus for this team, so you can set to 24 additional HP in order to give him more gold on his cast. So if you don't naturally have 100 HP to get 100 gold off his cast, you can do so by medaling him, or by having medals to give HP. And you can also medal him. I believe he gains a little bit of HP from that as well. Anyways, as far as the faction, you have a restriction of green and red, I believe it was. You can just run a pretty standard Rowan team and just run through that the entire time. Pretty standard faction team, and it is accessible for this place. As far as the pure faction team, a little bit of a weird one, mostly because it has this really annoying RNG perk, where basically it is keep transforming into various things, or most of them transform into Turburn, and then the Turburn transforms into one of the other ones. It's a very annoying faction. Basically what you want to do is use your Werecats and Beastmaster as your primary source. You never, ever, ever want to cast your Werebear. The main reason for this is, until the final battle anyways, the main reason for this is he has a skull reduction, so you'll want to leave it as in the front tank so that it can remain as a skull reduction. The main reason you don't want to cast it is 20% of the time it'll transform into something you don't want it to be. So you want to have this going into the final battle. So basically you never cast the Werebear until the final battle, and you just keep casting everything behind it in order to do all your damage. And hopefully by the end of the faction, you can enter the final battle with at least one Werebear, one Werecat, and one Beastmaster. If that is your composition with the Werebear in first slot, you should be fine going into the final battle. It can be a little bit annoying though, since they keep transforming all over the place, so do be wary of that. It's definitely one of the more luck-based kingdoms. Not the most luck-based factions in the game, but definitely can be pretty annoying just because they keep transforming all the time, or at least when you're unlucky or don't want them to, they do. And aside from that, this is actually a repeat of the exact same team. However, it has the exact same restrictions, but for Urskas, for the restriction for the Sentinel hero class, you could literally just run something pretty similar. You could just go with standard hero weapon as well and just go a quick kill with like Dawnbringer or something similar. However, I figured we'd keep it to be thematic, and you can just kind of run the same exact thing you ran for the Ward event for the Thursday event. So pretty straightforward there. It's literally just a copy paste of whatever you use, assuming you have good AoE options to run. And same general premise, you just get them up very quickly, take their mana, cast, and they just all die simultaneously with all the damage that you have. So pretty straightforward, similar kind of aspect to it. But anyways, guys, that'll wrap it up for now. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Of course, we'll be going and messing with Guild Wars every single night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this week. We're also revamping quite a bit of our defend teams, pretty much every single one of them. So we'll see exactly how those end up panning out, and go do that every single night. But anyways, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Hope you all had a wonderful Memorial Day, and I'll catch you guys later. Thank you all so much for watching.